Hi there guys, well today we're going to be taking a look at a new case to join the Corsair Graphite series. This is the 230T. Now Corsair have been really active in the Obsidian and the Carbide series. The Graphite series has actually only got one case within the portfolio. That's the 600T, which is very popular, and that was released back in 2010. So it's really nice to see a fresh new case joining this series. 230T is a mid-tower chassis and it's available in three different colours. You've got Battleship Grey, Rebel Orange or Black. Our review sample is of course the orange variant, and as you can see it is very vibrant. The real emphasis with 230T is on flexibility and affordability. So those who are on perhaps tighter budget constraints but still want the style and the space will be pleased to know that 230T ticks all the right boxes. So you can house all your high-end kit inside 230T for approximately £60 to £65 in the UK, and then if you're over in Europe, you're looking at around €70, and in the States, around $100. So we're now going to jump in, take a good look at all the features on the 230T. If you've got any questions or comments, then do drop them in the box below. Okay, firstly then we're going to take a look at the front of the case. As you can see, we've got this plastic bezel which goes around the outer edge, and then we've got the Corsair logo at the bottom and the front panel controls running along the top. Below that we've got three 5 1/4 bays. Those are removable from the inside of the case, those covers. And then below that we've got some more perforated mesh. That just gives you a bit of ventilation for those dual 120mm fans which are already included inside the case. Unfortunately, this perforated mesh here, it isn't steel, it's just a plastic, but it's something that you kind of expect with a lower end type of case. Up at the top of the case we have the front panel connectivity. There's actually only a few ports to talk about here. We've got the dual USB 3 ports, those are via the internal motherboard header. We've got the headphone and the microphone jacks for your audio, and then we've got the power and the reset buttons. At the top of the case we have this steel panel. As you can see there, we've got some slight indentations and a perforated mesh area. Now that can house dual 120 or dual 140mm fans. Now that is optional, so you don't get any included, but it does give you a bit more flexibility, and you can drop in the H100, which we will show a little later. Coming to the side panels, on the alternate side, the only significant feature that we have there is the indentations. Now that allows you to slide the panel off much easier. But over on the prominent side we have this Perspex window which allows you a bit of a preview inside the system. We've got coverage for the CPU cooler, the graphics card, the power supply, and just generally the key components such as your motherboard. We've got the indentations again to allow that to come off much easier. Now on each panel we've got a single thumb screw, and you can just take that out. And the good thing about this is the panel actually slides off towards the front, so you can see there that comes off, and there we have our panel, and it does flex slightly, but it is good quality. And as you can see, here is our ATX test rig, which we've already got installed inside 230T. This just gives you a bit of an idea of what you can expect in terms of space and compatibility. We're now going to jump in and take a close look at all those features and the aspects of 230T. I'm going to start by taking a look at the bottom of the case. As you can see there, we've got a placement for dropping in a 120 or a 140mm fan. Unfortunately though, there is no dust filter there. Moving along, we've got the power supply, and underneath there is unfortunately no anti-vibration padding. This is an aspect that I always go into with videos, and really it should even be with accompanied with you know, your lower end type of cases. It should be on every case, because you think about it, you've got the anti-vibration properties, but also you think this power supply here, it's got quite a grainy texture on it, and underneath there we've got a glossy finish, and we don't want any scratching, and there is a potential there that there could be scratching. Now there is a dust filter underneath the power supply, but unfortunately because of the low clearance it's actually really difficult to be able to get at that. Unless you've got tiny fingers, it's not going to work for you. So what I did was I tilted the case forward, and that just allows you to take out the filter. So obviously you can take that out and clean it, but even getting it back can be quite tricky. Managed to do it that time, but you know, if you've got your cables all plugged into the back of the case, you're not going to be able to tilt it very easy. And really, Corsair should have just added a few more centimetres onto those feet just to give you a bit more clearance, and you can get your fingers underneath there. Moving further up, we have 7 PCI expansion slot covers. That gives you multi-GPU support. Those covers actually have the ventilation cutouts. That's to encourage better airflow inside the case. And we've also got the accompanying thumb screws for easy removal. And we've got some extra ventilation to the side there. You can see the honeycomb mesh. At the back of the case, Corsair have included a 120mm cooling fan, and that is positioned to be an exhaust. Now at the top, as we previously mentioned, there are those placements for dual 120 or dual 140mm fans, so you can add in even more cooling if you need it. And you can even drop in a H100 with those placements, and I'm going to show that a bit later. Over on the other side, towards the front of the case, we have this optical drive cage, and here you can house up to 3 5¼ devices, and the way that you install them is very, very simple. You've got this latch here, and behind here is 2 pins, and simply slide your drive in, pull this back, drop it back in, and the pins attach to the device and it fixes it in place. It is really that simple. Below this we have even more tool-free mechanisms. This time it's for the hard drive storage. Now in this cage here we can house up to 4 3.5-inch drives, and then in this adapter we can house up to 4 2.5-inch drives. And to install them, it's very, very simple. We've got this 2.5-inch drive here, similar to an SSD. It can be quite tight. All you need to do is pull this clip back and then slide that in. And we've got these visible screw holes, so if you want a bit more security, then you can screw those in. And then for a 3.5-inch drive, again, it's very, very simple. All you do is simply slide it in and it clicks into place. So the great thing with that is you don't need a screwdriver. And behind here we've got these dual 120mm cooling fans. Those are positioned to be intakes, and they also have the LEDs. So this, when it's powered up, is going to emit a nice orange glow. In terms of your clearance constraints, we have approximately 160mm for the CPU cooler, and we've actually got installed here the Noctua NH-U12P, which is 158mm, so this will pretty much cover anything that is a flagship like your D14. Now for graphics card clearance, there's 2 things that you need to consider. If you're using the top slot like I am here, then you've obviously got unlimited amount of clearance before you're going to touch that cooling fan at the front. And if you go for a single card configuration, you're really going to use that top slot anyway. But if you go for a multi-GPU configuration and you're going to use the lower slots, then obviously this hard drive cage here is going to be a bit of a constraint. Now for a top slot, you've got around 430mm, so that covers anything that's currently on the market. But if you're going to use the lower slots, so this is the limitation here, then that's around 320mm. So you can see there with the measuring ruler, we've got around 12 inches. Now this card here is the XFX 7970, and that's around 10.5 inches. Okay, now I know many of you are going to be wondering, will this case fit the H100? So I've got the H100 radiator here, and we're just going to slide it past that CPU cooler. It is very tight. I just fix it into place. Okay. So there you go. It does fit. The mounting holes are perfect. The only thing that I would say is the edge of that radiator fits to the very top of the motherboard. So if you're going to attach any cooling fans to that, then it is going to be dependent upon your motherboard heat sinks. If you've got heat sinks which are particularly tall, then it's going to be difficult for you to fit those. Now for cable management on the reverse side, there's approximately 1.5–1.6 centimeters of clearance between the back of the tray and the side panel. Now that might not be as generous as you think, but just remember there is an indentation at the very bottom which gives you a few more centimeters, and it just allows the thicker cables to route through. And we've of course got those brackets just to keep it nice and tidy. The only thing that we would say is the cutouts on the motherboard tray, they don't have any grommets. So things can appear to be a little bit untidy against that orange background. You just need to be extra careful with the cable management. Okay, now as a final clip, I'm just going to power the system up, get the microphone as close to each of those case fans as possible, just to give you a rough idea of what to expect. So, just power that system up. As you can see there, we've got the LED fans at the front. They're lit up on orange. So you can probably just about make out those fans. They are noticeable when you've got the system powered up. The case is fairly open, there's lots of ventilation, and really this case isn't designed to be silent, so you're going to expect a little bit of noise. So that in a nutshell is the new 230T. Now it's been a while since we've seen anything join the Graphite series. I think Corsair have really been kind of focusing on the higher end stuff, but it's nice to see that they've brought something to market which is at the lower end, something that's directed towards budget conscious system builders. Now from a visual point of view, I really like the way that 230T looks. Now the orange is obviously not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but you can obviously get in the the grey, the black, which is a little bit more subtle to the eye. Orange is a bit more vibrant, it's a bit more eye-catching if that's your sort of thing. Now inside, we've obviously got the accommodation there for the bigger CPU coolers, the long graphics cards, and again with the storage options you've got compatibility there for 2.5 inch, for 3.5 inch, so lots of flexibility in that regard as well. There are a few niggles, as you've probably seen in the video. For the power supply, I would like to have seen rubber grommets for the cutouts on the cable management, and just the height of the case, from the ground, it needs to be a little bit higher up, just to give you the ability to drop out that power supply filter. Now if you're looking for the thermal performance, jump over to the link in the description. We'll have all the thermal performance results over there if you want to check those out. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you click that like button. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you're a new watcher, I would appreciate if you could hit that button as well for the subscription. And that's pretty much it for me, guys. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.